You know that feeling, right? That huge, frustrating gap between what you want to accomplish and what you actually get done. Well, today, we're going to dive into a timeless lesson from the age of the samurai that speaks directly to that exact struggle.
Let's be honest for a second. Do you ever feel ambitiously lazy? You know, you've got these massive goals, this crystal clear vision for your life, but when it actually comes time to do the work, you find yourself planning or procrastinating or just stopping.
If that sounds even a little bit familiar, I promise you are in very good company. This isn't some new problem, it's a deeply human one, and we're going to explore it through a powerful little story about a young samurai who was stuck in that very same gap.
So let's start with what I like to call the dreamer's trap, and we're going to see it play out perfectly in the story of a young warrior named Yuki. So Yuki, this guy was the poster child for ambition. Seriously, he could talk for hours about mastering the sword, about the brilliant strategies he was going to use, all the honor he'd bring to his clan. He absolutely loved the idea of being great. He thought his ambition alone was enough. But when it came to the actual, grueling, day-in, day-out work of training, oh, there was always an excuse. The weather wasn't quite right, he wasn't feeling it, he just needed to, plan a little more. And here's the tragic part. Years passed, and Yuki's skills were exactly where they started. His ambition, the thing that was supposed to fuel him, just turned into a source of frustration and regret. The very dreams that were meant to lift him up ended up trapping him. So the big question is, how does this happen?
Well, this brings us to a huge problem many of us face, and it's called the motivation myth. It's the psychological trap that keeps us stuck, dreaming and planning forever. Now, here's the wild part. There's real neuroscience behind this. When you sit around talking about your grand plans or spend hours researching, your brain actually gives you a little hit of dopamine. It feels good. It feels like progress. Your mind rewards you as if you've already accomplished something, which of course makes it so much easier to put off the actual difficult work. It's a very comfortable trap.
So, if our own brains are kind of working against us, rewarding us for inaction, how in the world are we supposed to break free and actually start doing things?
Well, the samurai had an answer, and it wasn't about trying to find more motivation or waiting for a lightning bolt of inspiration. It was a complete shift in mindset, a philosophy called the way of action.
And this right here just lays out the difference so perfectly. The dreamer's mindset is all about waiting for the perfect feeling to start. But the warrior's mindset, it acts first to create that feeling. A warrior doesn't wait to feel ready. They begin anyway. They don't look for comfort in endless planning. They find their strength in the simple, humble discipline of doing the thing over and over and over. Okay, if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, let it be this. We have it completely backward. We think we need motivation to get started. The truth is, action comes first. Action creates momentum, and that momentum builds the fire that we call motivation. You don't find it, you create it.
Okay, so this sounds great in theory, but how do we actually put it into practice? Well, the samurai method builds on a really powerful concept called Kaizen, which just means continuous improvement. And we're going to look at a specific application of this called Kaizen no Mi.
Kaizen no Mi, literally, the way of small improvements. It's this simple but incredibly profound idea that real mastery doesn't come from some huge, heroic effort. It's built in the quiet, almost boring rhythm of showing up and doing something small every single day.
So imagine a student who feels totally lazy and doesn't want to train. Instead of trying to force a 2-hour session, he just commits to practicing one single sword form each morning. Just one. His friends might laugh at him, but he does it every day. And over time, that tiny action builds discipline. It sharpens his technique. And, most importantly, it creates the momentum and motivation to do a little bit more. You see, the smallest step repeated is infinitely more powerful than the grandest plan that never happens. And this brings us to the final, and maybe the deepest, lesson of all. If the method is so simple, why is it so hard to do? Well, it's because it requires us to choose commitment over comfort.
This, right here, is why we wait for motivation. We're trying to avoid these feelings. We want to work only when we feel energetic, inspired, and when we know we'll get a quick reward. But the warrior's path is all about moving forward despite these feelings of discomfort, not waiting around for them to magically disappear.
One of the greatest samurai teachers, Yagyu Munanori, said it perfectly. If you wait for the right moment, the perfect mood, the ideal conditions, you might just wait forever.
the work will never, ever begin.
So, we really need to redefine what strength is. True strength isn't an emotion. It's not about feeling powerful or motivated. It's a decision. It's the quiet, firm commitment to do what you said you would do long after the mood you set it in has completely left the building.
And that's the ultimate principle to take away. The power to act without waiting for motivation is the power to truly shape your own life. So the question isn't, am I motivated today? The real question is, what am I committed to? Because that is the warrior's path. That is how you close the gap between the person you dream of being and the person you are today.